Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lifestyle with Dr. Mobi. I'm Dr. Mobi, and today we have an excellent guest. His name is Joshua Andrus, and he's by trade addiction specialist, but he's a great author. And let's hear from him firsthand. Joshua, welcome to our show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on, Dr. Mobi.
Uh, Great. Tell me about your work.
So the book series had began originally because of my own struggles with working with my kids and setting up boundaries related to mobile devices as well as video gaming. And it's inspired by my two kids. I have three kids, but my younger two kids, Olivia, which is Live Stream Live, and Braden, which I didn't think Gamer Braden sounded as good as Gamer Gavin. And so blogger Braden comes later in the books, but we set it up kind of to talk about high quality time with family that overcomes having kids get so hooked on devices. And it's interesting that we call them devices, isn't it? Like the devices that we turn to, but there's just a whole lot of evidence that hasn't been explored about this also becoming an addiction and things that actually have us instead of us having them. So that's kind of the basis for the series, the book series. But really, again, to get parents to read to their kids, but also start those intelligent conversations about intentional device use.
Okay, great. So tell me, I have seen, is it for all ages, I guess, or mostly younger folks?
Mostly elementary ages. Yeah,
Okay, great.
elementary ages and really intended for parents to read with their kids. So, the idea here is that really, if we're reading to our kids, it's a high quality time spent as well. So it's kind of in reading the books to gain awareness. It's like a macro activity that takes care of the micro lessons in the book.
So tell me a little bit, what do you find with kids nowadays? One thing we are seeing a lot is a lot of kids, they don't talk to each other and they rather just be on the phone.
Yeah, it's sad because it doesn't just start with kids not going and socializing. It starts with moms who may be on their phone and not connecting with their child while they're breastfeeding. So, studies are showing that lack of empathy that kids are developing sometimes occurs when when they missed out on that opportunity to like connect with mom, when mom, instead of looking down at the face of the baby, she's kind of missing a chance to connect with the child. And that kind of grows from there where, 10, 15 years ago, we didn't have the iPad in our lap when we went to the doctor's office. We had, mom interacting, even if it was to kind of teach boundaries out there. Like if you think about anything that we watch online, there isn't a whole lot of let's turn to the camera and talk to the camera interaction like we get from human to human interaction. So yeah, absolutely. Your point is well stated. Kids don't necessarily go out to connect like that. And, COVID's especially taken it to the next level on both sides. Less socialization, more times on the devices. And now school in many places. I'm in California. Schools are all done online.
Okay. And so probably that is actually worsening because then they are really not talking to anyone. I had a friend and he had a couple of kids and they'll sit in the back of the car. They would text each other but not talk to each other.
Yeah, being 2 feet away. Yes, that's sometimes it makes it easy, but at the same time, there's not socialization going on. You lose a whole lot from a text, and I think many of us have gone through that.
And I also, with younger folks, there was also concern about language delay. And,
Mhm.
we had a couple of developmental speech therapists, and they had a concern that, nowadays kids are not talking, their speech is not clear or develop late because they are playing with the phone or iPad.
Yeah, that's definitely a concern. In fact, a lot of pediatric specialists are actually telling parents to completely leave the kids off until their teenage years and even beyond. And some of them they see an immediate, when the parents do almost a electronic fast, they actually see an immediate increase in their capabilities to communicate.
Yeah. So just definitely. So tell us some of the chapters or some of the highlights from your book.
Okay, so yeah, so the first one was for local. So we did a local hike, and so that was really about parents that have let their kids kind of decide not to do sports anymore, and how the conditioning, physical conditioning, has gotten out of whack a little bit. And a dad that kind of gets shocked that son was winded when they went on a field trip hike or a
Mhm.
field trip. He was tired after that short walk, and a daughter that stayed inside watching her favorite YouTuber from recess, and just kind of like the parents putting their head together and taking them on one of our famous local hikes here in San Diego, so that I would be able to do like the parent workshops. So that, and the nice thing is we did a few pilots, and the beauty is the kids, even more than the parents, would run up to their parents afterwards and get excited um, about going for a hike, and you could hear the chatter. Like, you could hear the parent, can we go on Cowles Mountain like this next weekend? And so it was really about like some great behavior change that came with that. So that's one. The second book was a beach. It was about beach cleanup, but it was more about personal responsibility. So that kids that fight over whose mess it is got a pretty valuable lesson, and started taking personal responsibility. So when they get to a beach and it's all messy, they again start to take that ownership. So they're in there playing the video games, and they're fighting over not cleaning up the mess the whole day when they're home from school, because they want to stay on their devices, and then that results in some chores, and they get to see what that personal responsibility is. And so those are the first two that I had launched before the COVID book came around. Um, and then since, we've done four other ones. COVID was the first one we rhymed, and then just recently we're editing the first two to rhyme as well. So all 7 books will rhyme by the end of this quarter.
I think that is great that your books are. First of all, congratulate, and there are not too many authors for kids, and then they have books, but I think to address the main issues like this one, such an important topic, it's really commendable.
I appreciate it.
That's a great, yeah, great work. And you were telling me about a couple other books, very interesting topics. Let's hear for our audience.
Okay, yeah. So I did want to touch just real quickly on COVID. I think what you've done really well, Doc Mobi, is you're spreading awareness about sleep, but you're also spreading awareness about the times that we're living in. And I think episode 9 was a discussion with somebody that had COVID, and I was just recently quarantined myself. But back in March, when I saw the NBA players start to know that their season are over, and March Madness closed, as you well know, everything started to look a little strange. And so I thought, if our parents are at home in front of the kids talking about the COVID situation, and our kids are not really sure, this can be like scary and stressful inducing for parents, let alone for how kids see it. And immediately I started looking at what I call reverse paranoia, in the sense that this is really a situation where kids can become stronger and more resilient having lived through this. And my book, the third book, the very first one me and my illustrator worked on, that was in the here and now kind of times, is rhyming. And it was the first one that actually, I think, addressed the here and now like issues, and helped kids to kind of see things in a positive light. Seeing that they're more capable now to do online schooling than any other generation of the past, seeing that people that we haven't necessarily spent so much time saying that are heroes, like truck drivers and janitors, deserve a thank you like when we see them doing their work too. Like, what's more valuable than a janitor that comes along and makes sure that it's sanitized after us, so that we don't get somebody sick? Like, that's just a hero in my book, and literally in my book. And then talking about how kids can help out at home, and they can do physical activities at home with mom and dads, and that they can still be around each other as friends. As family members. This was so early on that we didn't know how long we would be sheltering in place, but that they could teach each other skills. And I plug Khan Academy in there, which is still killing it as far as putting good curriculum on there. So that was the third book. And I just wanted to know if you had any questions on that before I talk about the other ones.
And no, I think that's a great thing. You mentioned about COVID, and thank you for bringing that up. because that is such an important topic, because for many reasons. One is, this is reality right now. And then, beside, I think very important point you have mentioned about those heroes. So there are, a lot of press, and everybody is you're really focused on medical provider, myself, which is great thing, but by all means they are the also first hardline. But even anybody who cleans even restroom, and is going to also the one who gives you grocery at the
Hmm.
counter.
Yeah.
And then there are, like unsung heroes. So I made a point, I go to hospital, I thank everyone, whoever I am passing by, say, it's like everybody's so stressed, but so all these kind words mean a lot to everyone, in my opinion. So they're just looking for that appreciation, that token, uh, that means a lot to everyone. I'm sure when you mentioned, I'm sure a lot of people felt what you're trying to tell.
Yeah, it connects. And I think as you were talking, a couple other areas of the book is talking about kindness. One of the things that I can't remember the exact line. I have the book right over here, anyways, and so it talks about going in and smiling with your eyes. Like now that the mask is on, learning how to be kind in a grocery store, being even more kind and more considerate, and kind of the community pride of seeing other neighbors and people around people like being considerate and speaking more of that into existence. Because I don't know if you're like me. I mean, in my area that I live in, I've seen more people like really step up, but I've seen the extremes as well, where people are really, speeding on the roads and kind of acting like it was lawlessness for a little while there, and that's scary too for our kids to kind of be witness to. But also, speaking not on the side of that, but speaking more of calling the attention to more of the considerate, um, I just wanted to find that line because it was just one that when it came to me, I was like, oh, that's, I don't take credit for inspired thought on that, but my mask hides my expression. I'm learning to smile with my eyes. Our patience and kindness at stores shouldn't be a surprise, was the line that came on there. So, these kind of things that we call attention to, and what, as what we focus on grows. And so hopefully there's some effect that we have as we pick up a book like this to see, like you said, the healthcare workers and as well as the support staff, but also, let's be more kind, let's be more gracious, let's be more understanding that other people are just as stressed, if not more than we are, and having that empathy that is built into a book like that. So I was happy to see that was, something that came to me as an inspired thought.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, and that is very nice, words, and beautifully describes the feeling, and the atmosphere. Thank you for bringing that up. Also, tell us. I know you have mentioned before the interview that you have several books,
Mhm.
and a lot of topics. I love to hear from you.
Yeah. So the very first book that I thought I was going to write was going to be about Liv and Gavin visiting a farm. And what inspired this is my own daughter, who was 11 at the time, just had turned 11. And she was driving back with mom from a trip, and she called a bunch of goats sheep. She didn't know the difference between sheep and goats. And it was kind of funny that happened. And so the book actually starts out with a picture of mom kind of questioning what Liv is talking about, looking at a goat and thinking it was a sheep. And of course, the takeaway of that is that, our kids are getting a lot of education, but are they getting knowledge that a farm that could teach? And so the idea is now another adventure is getting the kids off their devices and heading out to the farm. So that was the next book in the series. Staying Up Too Late was inspired by my kids, who we bought a safe. I remember a safe from like Sam's Club or Costco or something like that to lock up their devices. And that first night, within like a half an hour, 45 minutes, we'd put them to bed. That safe was broken into to get their devices out. And they ended up staying up all night at different times and robbing them of sleep. And of course, as a sleep expert, sleep being so important to kids, as well as screen time being damaging for that.
And yeah, that brings another important topic, and that is sleep. That's true for especially teenagers, there are two things with that sleep, and thank you for bringing again. One is, at that age there is a drift. Everybody brain actually drifts 15 to 20 minutes every day forward, and every day it's our job to keep it checked. So we should wake up on time and do not let mind wander clockwise forward, because otherwise we won't be able to work very productively. And this, the clock goes up for kids, for pediatrics, especially teenagers. This tendency really is very high.
Mhm.
So which means at that part of their age, the brain is going through those changes, is going to drift forward very quickly. um, with age you drift backwards a little bit, but at that age it has a really a great tendency to do that. So if you don't really check that, then most likely you'll end up with lack of sleep, which is so prevalent in teenagers. They're sleeping less and less, and
Mhm.
then they have behavior problem, and not to mention concentration problem, and also grades are going down, unfortunately, and they're putting them on medications,
Yeah.
to pump up their grades. But problem is that is very toxic, you know. So those and unfortunately people can die from it. So those are, I think very very important in my opinion. Thank you for bringing sleep. I think not too many non-doctors wrote on sleep. So congratulations that you wrote on it.
Yeah. It's interesting too because you're bringing up the teenagers, and in this particular book series, which will be 12 books by the first quarter of 21, right? 2021, there'll be 12 total books in this series. Sleep had come through because of our own struggles as a family, but the age group that we did it for was because kids are still impressionable and can learn these kind of things early. We can prevent from these interactions, but also from the parents having healthy conversations and a healthy awareness about exactly what you're talking about, the developmental impact, the behavioral result of poor sleep. And so I figure one of the best ways to intervene is when there's a lot more um, there's two people there. Like a parent that would read to a teenager is a little bit more rare, but a parent that can read to a child and have a really good awareness conversation in advance of that child. No, it's not you don't get to see the instant effect of the book, but hopefully over time we have a balancing of you know what parents are not doing. And some parents are letting kids stay through the night playing the video games, and just it's permissive, because on the other end of that behavior problem is the behavior problem when somebody has their devices taken away, and that can be somewhat violent at times. And then I know that you were talking about the other books. I've talked about five total with the COVID book. Um, so there's a few more, and the nice thing is right now I did kind of a combination, so that the COVID book, just for the limited time right now, is going to be the one that the libraries start to carry. But there's four other books that are with it, and so that up to late book, up too late, or they stay up too late, and then the farm book is on there. But there's another one that's called Sell Their Stuff, and then a communication one. And so Sell Their Stuff is really about kids that lie about cleaning up their stuff and staying over at friends. So mom comes home and does what some parents have talked about doing, and saying, hey, look, we're just going to trash all your stuff. We're going to get rid of it. You don't value it. It's all over your floor. But they decide to do something more creative. They actually decide to have the kids do a yard sale. And then
Yeah.
they take some of the profits and they teach the kids another valuable lesson. They take some of the profits and they take it over to a Goodwill, and then not the profits, but the rest of the not worn stuff, they take it over to a secondhand like store and donate it. And then they have the kids choose one of their favorite toys, not the one of the throwaways or for sale, and some of the profits, and go over to an orphanage where kids appreciate so much more. And it was inspired by one of my friends in the Philippines who was doing a lot of that kind of work by going into the orphanages. Backing up to the up too late, because they were taking school for granted, I plan on turning that one into scholarships for Venezuelan kids that have to drop out of school. My illustrator's Venezuelan, um, and he says that they make an average of $8 a month. And so the poverty and kids are dropping out of school because they can't afford to even stay in school. And so that is going to end up being a complete That's going to end up being a complete scholarship driven book, whereas the second, the one I was just talking about, Sell Their Stuff, is really about making sure that people do donate to the thrift stores, and that they do donate to charities like and orphanages, where kids will appreciate the stuff. The final book that has been done, there's an exercise book that's coming out, just wrapping it up, probably in about 2.5 weeks we'll launch that one. But the last one is set in Bryce Canyon, Utah, which is, it's not like Zion's, but it's similar. And it's really there to take down the guard that some people have about therapy. And it's really about this trend of siblings fighting each other, and that the parents actually break down their walls and tell about how when they were younger in love, they actually went through some therapy. And the message of that one is to destigmatize, to take away that that stigma around going and getting help from professionals. And so, these books are not really intended to be entertaining, but entertaining. They definitely have a fun, fun feel, a fun vibe, but they don't always, they're there for learning lessons as well.
No, no. I mean, I see that. I would highly encourage all the readers to check it out. So it's available on Amazon, and all of them, right? So you have 7 books, right?
Yeah, we have seven right now, and then the one that I was just talking about, they're all the rhyming ones. The hike and the beach are separate, but the ones with COVID and then the other 4 books are all combined. It's 145 pages, and those are the ones. I have the author's copy that we're editing. The other one, it's right here, and so it's all colored. It's
Oh, very
really.
nice. Mm.
It's really set up so that somebody can sit down and read five books over time with their kids, and story time at night.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would love that. I will. I have a nephew. Probably I'll get that for you. So from you. So that is so nice. It's colorful. It's large print, and I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. So what age group is it for?
It's between the ages of 6 and 12. There's
Oh, just
yeah, so because mom and dad are really intended to read it with the kids, some of those discussions are appropriate because it's rhyming. It's also a little bit crafty too. So sometimes, what I like is like my kids and their friends enjoy reading it, and I get testimonials about like the whole family, or I enjoy paying a kid, one of our friends, to read it to his sister and his brother, and he's 11 years old, and he enjoys it. He's a big fan, and so he's starting to talk about writing his own books because he now knows somebody that's a picture book author. And so yeah, I found it to be between the ages of 6 and 12. So all elementary school age kids have enjoyed that.
Oh, that is so good. I mean, I even the colors are so fascinating. I mean, I could see from distance. But we'll definitely have audience. Everybody check it out. It's on Amazon. And so, any final thoughts or final things you would like to tell the audience about your book and work and so forth?
Well, first of all, Dr. Mobi, I love what you're doing, and I'd love to just make sure that you can buy it on Amazon, the book on Amazon, but I'd love to send you a signed copy, and that way, we
Oh
have a
yeah.
little bit of history in your hands, that this is the first iteration. The other thing is I set up a page for your listeners so that they can get 2 of the books on for free, and I'd love to give that link out if you'd like to let them do that. I set it up so they can get the Up Too Late for the sake of you doing the sleep studies, but also the COVID book to help them to reframe. Are you
Oh,
open to me sharing that with your audience? Oh, you mute. I I don't know if you know this, but you're muted. So
I'm sorry. I said send me the link once we're done with it. Then I'm gonna go ahead and send you. Once we edit the program, we'll put it at the bottom in the where you see at the bottom. I right now put your book there,
okay,
um,
perfect.
and so I'm gonna put exactly like that so people can watch it and take notes. But you're under your name on Amazon, so the book I'm sure I highly encourage and will highly value that. I will definitely run by my kids when they are coming for sleep consult. I'm gonna showcase that for them for sure.
That's wonderful. The Parents Overcoming Electronics is our organization, and so if any of your listeners would like to contribute in that way too, that's what we're grassroots movement for that. So
Oh
uh,
yeah.
any way that they, if anybody's inspired to contribute, then we could always, other like-minded parents that want to overcome the electronic battles, that would be really helpful. So absolutely. And again, I'd like to send a signed copy out to you just because I really appreciated you having me on today.
Oh yeah, well, I'll be honored. I'm gonna just highlight on all our media too that and just have your ad run for such a great cause. But that's so dear to me, for lifestyle because it's kind of relates to all the topics which we stand for. Well, thank you for your great work. Keep up the great work and keep coming back to us. And maybe if you want to highlight another topic or something on your mind, feel free direct message me. I'll be happy to get you back. And then also for audience, please buy his book. Encourage. We really need to get people like him out and and educate everyone. So check him out, and he's great. And also give me feedback and give us feedback what topics you like, and we'll be happy to share with Joshua and everybody else. Thank you for watching our show, and thank you for coming.
Thank you.